In this holiday special, we'll hear the address of Jesse Williams speaking about racism in this country. Jesse Williams, the star of Grey's Anatomy. But right now, we continue our conversation with one of the country's best-known spoken word artists, Saul Williams. He's just released his 5th album. I asked him how he would assess Barack Obama's presidency.
Centrist. Centrist who, exercises this modern sense of diplomacy, which allows him, on one hand, to address certain issues while taking certain issues such as, like, let's say, marriage equality, now what, it's solitary confinement, some measures in the criminal justice system, slight measures in the criminal justice system, but at the same time still being seduced by security measures that, circle around overreach. I think that it's, for me, it's that sort of assessment and the reality of what's going on. I mean, think of Guantanamo, the fact that that was something he ran against, and looking at where we are now, looking at Afghanistan, looking at Iraq, looking at ISIS, not looking at Boko Haram, right? What I mean by that is the fact that we pay so much attention there and pay so little attention there, I think that is what makes me certain that we don't need another centrist or right-winger in office. For me, that's what makes me say we need to revolutionize our political system, because the middle road is in fact a conservative road.
Bernie Sanders is using the word political revolution.
Yes.
Your thoughts on him?
He's who I'm referencing. I think that he is the smartest choice and the most integral candidate that perhaps I've seen in my lifetime. It's not to say that anyone is perfect or what have you, but looking at his record, which does not involve a lot of flip-flopping and ideas or adjusting positions in order to appease, citizenry or corporations, but really focused on what he has always felt, and those things being aligned with what I see as being true and just and for the best. I think he's already shifted the dialogue during the election to an amazing place. And I also think if we're true to ourselves and we pay attention to the youth of this country, that we see quite clearly that the youth, they get it. They see what that could mean to them, I mean, just in terms of, as we referenced before, healthcare and education, what that can do to a culture that is supposed to, be about freedom. We're told that we're free. We learn through the whistleblowers how free we are not. I think Bernie Sanders he's definitely my choice, and I actually think he's the most revolutionary and the best choice for America right now. Yeah.
Saul Williams, I'm looking at a picture of your mother.
Yeah. I grew up hearing about that picture for years. My mom and dad, both activists throughout my entire lifetime. I grew up in Newburgh, New York, as I told you. One of the people that would sing regularly at my father's church was Pete Seeger, And I always be like, why is my dad inviting, Pete to get up on stage? I didn't know who he was. He was just a neighbor who was really nice and who played the guitar and sang songs that we sang in school. I didn't realize that they were his songs, But I grew up with people like that. And my mom, who's the same person, like when I came home at 8 after doing Julius Caesar and saying, I want to be an actor when I grow up, and my dad saying, oh, I'll support you as an actor if you get a law degree. And my mom saying, then you should do your first school report on Paul Robeson. That's my mom. That picture of my mom is from 1963, Brooklyn, when the construction workers in New York were segregated. They were, in fact, none of the New York construction companies were hiring blacks at that time. And so people had mobilized to force the hand of the local government to hire black construction workers. Yeah. And so that's what my mom was protesting in Brooklyn. And of course, she's being arrested there. And so I'd heard about that picture for years. And then about 2 years ago, a cousin of mine was on eBay and was like, hey, isn't that your mom? And we were all like, oh my God, that's a picture. My mom is still alive. In fact, she just had her 75th birthday, so happy birthday, Mom. And yeah, that's her. That's her in all of her glory with her fist up, singing in the arms of the police.
Let me ask you about Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
Holler If You Hear Me,
Yeah.
the Broadway musical
Yeah.
that you did.
The great thing about that play was that, one, it was started, most people don't know this, is that play was conceptualized by August Wilson before he passed. And what he did is he started taking all of Tupac's music and then creating a story restricting himself to the text that Tupac had written. And so it's a story that takes place in Middle America. And it's basically a story about gun violence in Middle America. And of course, it's a very sobering story. It was not about Tupac's life. It was a parable about gun violence in Middle America, about a guy who comes out of prison, comes back home, tries to stay out of trouble, is pulled back in before he makes a decision that doesn't only change his life, but changes the community around him, right? And we had a rough time on Broadway because essentially the play was extremely political. And most people who came to see it, would be standing and crying at the end. And so when you're choosing, I guess, between like Rocky the Musical and Cinderella and all of these things, it's hard to choose to go to the place where it's going to make you cry. But it was powerful, extremely powerful, directed by Kenny Leon. And for me, it was a perfect fusion of my love of theater and love of hip hop.
Could you end with Amethyst Rocks, the
Sure.
poem that first brought you
Sure.
fame?
Let's see if I remember it. Yes. I stand on the corner of the block slinging amethyst rocks, drinking 40s of Mother Earth's private nectar stock, dodging cops because 5-0 be the 666 and I need to fix that purple rain, the type of stuff that drives membranes insane. Oh yeah, I'm in the fast lane, snorting candy yams that free my body and soul and send me like Shazam. Never question who I am, God knows, and I know God personally. In fact, he lets me call him me. I be one with rain and stars and things, with dancing feet and watermelon wings. I brings the sunshine and the moon, and the wind blows my tune. Meanwhile, I spoon powdered drum beats into plastic bags, selling kilos of kente skag, taking drags off of collards and cornbread, freebasing through saxophones and flutes like mad. The high notes make me space float. I be exhaling in rings that circle Saturn, leaving stains in my veins and astrological patterns. Yeah, I'm serious, B. Doggone people plotted it lovely, but the feds has also plotted me. They're trying to imprison my astrology, put my stars behind bars, my stars in stripes, using blood-splattered banners as nationalist kites. But I control the wind, that's why they call it the hawk. I am Horus, son of Isis, worshipped as Jesus, resurrected like Lazarus. But you can call me lazy. Yeah, I'm lazy because I'd rather sit and build and work a plow and field, worshipping the daily yield of cash, green crops. Yeah, evolution stopped the evolution of your technology. A society of automatic tellers and money machines. What? My culture is lima beans and tambourines, dreams, manifest, dreams real, not consistent with rationale. I dance for no reason, for reason you can't dance, caught in the inactiveness of intellectualized circumstance. You can't learn my steps until you unlearn your thoughts. Spirit, soul can't be store-bought. Forget thought leads to naught, simply stated leads to you trying to figure me out. Your intellect is figuring your soul, your being's not whole. Check your flagpole, stars and stripes. Your astrology's imprisoned by a concept of white or self. What's your plan for spiritual health? Calling reality unreal, your line of thought is tangled. The star-spangled got your soul mangled, your being's angled, forbidding you to be real and feel. You can't find truth truth with an axe or a drill in a White House on a hill or in factories or plants made of steel. Stealing us was the smartest thing you ever did. Too bad you don't teach the truth to your kids. My influence on you is the reflection you see when you look into a minstrel mirror and talk about your culture. Your existence is that of a schizophrenic vulture who thinks he has enough life in him to prey on the dead, not realizing that the dead ain't dead and that he ain't got enough spirituality to know how to pray. Yeah, it's no repentance. You're bound to live an infinite, consecutive, executive life sentence. So while you're out busy serving time, I'll be in sync with the moon while you run from the sun. Life of the womb reflected by guns. Worshipper of moons, I am the sun, and I am public enemy number one. 111
Poet, activist, and musician Saul Williams. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.